Welcome to Queen's University Belfast pre-departure briefing.
My name is Heather Taylor and I am Head of International Markets.
My name is Gordon Brown. I'm the Head of Global Student Recruitment here at Queen's University Belfast.
We are delighted that you could join us today and we really look forward to welcoming you to Belfast and Queen's very soon. The purpose of today's pre-departure briefing is to provide key information that will be helpful for you as you start to make plans to travel to Queen's. Members of the team will also be available to answer any questions that you may have that are not covered in today's briefing. By the end of this session, we hope that you will feel more confident about what you need to prepare over the coming weeks and what you should expect when you arrive here.
Hello from Belfast and welcome to everyone joining us for our pre-departure events. Thank you for choosing Queen's University Belfast to continue your education. I'm delighted to welcome you to our global university. Queen's is a member of the Russell Group, which represents 24 leading research-intensive UK universities. Our students and staff are at the forefront of discovery and innovation. They play a vital role in taking on ambitious projects and leading cutting-edge research. And they're making a real difference to society worldwide. I'm proud to say that Queen's performed strongly in the latest national assessment of the UK's higher education research profile. The recent Research Excellence Framework highlighted the impact of our research in areas such as applied health, conflict resolution, cybersecurity and engineering. Addressing global challenges both at home and right across the globe is central to what we do at Queen's. At Queen's, you'll be joining our student body of 24,000, which includes over 3,500 international students from more than 80 countries across the globe. We know that coming here is a big step for you in your journey towards employment. We're committed to making sure it's the right step for you. With this in mind, our aim is to nurture and support you to fulfill your full potential. Your student days with us will be an enjoyable, academically rewarding, life-changing experience. You'll have everything you need to settle in quickly to university life and your new home in Belfast. On campus, you'll have access to healthcare, sports facilities, student clubs and support services. A big part of studying abroad is, of course, the location, and we know you'll enjoy your time with us here in Northern Ireland. We're famous for our welcome, as well as our beautiful natural surroundings. Located in Belfast, Queen's is at the heart of a vibrant, modern capital city. This is a city that's safe, welcoming, easy to get around. It's also a very affordable place to live and study. You'll find yourselves quickly at home here and understand why this region has been voted the happiest place to live in the UK. This is the start of a very exciting chapter of your lives. Here at Queen's, we have been shaping a better world since 1845, and we're delighted that you will soon be part of the Queen's family and will be joining us on our journey. I'd like to wish you a safe journey to Belfast, and I look forward to welcoming you onto campus very soon.
We are located in Northern Ireland, one of the 4 regions that make up the UK. Our students tell us they really love living in Northern Ireland because it's so well connected to the rest of the UK, and they really enjoy the friendly Northern Ireland welcome which we have become famous for. Northern Ireland is famous for many things, a few of which you might already know. Maybe you already knew that the Titanic was built here in Belfast in the Harland Wolff shipyard. We also have a strong engineering heritage in Northern Ireland, manufacturing innovative components for aerospace, automotive, technology, energy and space sectors. Some trivia for you. Did you know that 1 in 5 of the world's hard drives has parts made here in Northern Ireland? Also, did you know that in Northern Ireland produces 30% of the world's aircraft seats? While our strong engineering heritage continues, we have now developed into other industries such as fintech, IT services and cybersecurity. Belfast is one of the top cities globally for fintech development projects and a leading destination city globally for US investment in cybersecurity projects. We're also a very creative place with growing creative industries. Northern Ireland is a global production centre for film, television, and HBO's legendary Game of Thrones was filmed here. You'll now see a short video about Northern Ireland to give you a flavour of what to expect.
As you know, Queen's University is based in Belfast in Northern Ireland. For a quick geography lesson, Belfast is about a 1-hour flight from London. As one of 4 capital cities in the UK, Belfast is an incredibly dynamic, fast-growing and increasingly cosmopolitan city. The city is divided into distinct quarters, some of which are named after industries which historically dominated the areas. For example, the Titanic Quarter or Linen Quarter. Maybe you didn't know this already, but Queen's has been here for so long, since 1845, and the city has grown around us. We actually have our own quarter, the Queen's Quarter, which is a bustling, lively part of the city with Victorian period architecture, including our very own Lanyon, leafy streets, botanic gardens and Ulster Museum. Belfast is a very safe city, easy to get around and is considered to be one of the happiest cities in the UK. We are also a very affordable city to live in, and we know that you will find that your budget will go further here.
Northern Ireland's culture is uniquely intertwined between the cultures of the UK and Ireland. When you arrive in September, we strongly encourage you to get involved in everything our city and our country have to offer. With our rugged and dramatic landscapes, this is a place that inspires poetry, performance, dance and music. In our next video, we hope to give you a flavour of this, set in Queen's very own Great Hall.
That's enough from us now. It's time to hear from other Queen's colleagues to give you helpful advice and information. So it's goodbye from us now. We hope you will enjoy the event and we really look forward to welcoming you to Queen's soon.
Hello everybody, my name is Tom Gamester and I'm really delighted to be here to kick off the live section of this pre-departure briefing from Queen's University Belfast. I've been keeping an eye on the comments and the chat and it's great to see so many people from so many different countries. I feel like I have to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. From wherever you are in the world, you are very, very welcome. And we look forward to spending the next couple of hours going through what I'm sure will be a very interesting and informative session for you. I'd also like to say a welcome to anybody who's watching the recording of this session. If you can't make the live one, it's great to have you anyway, and we hope you enjoy the session. So I've mentioned the comments and the chat. I've been keeping an eye on it and seeing lots of messages coming in. I would like to just say that if you have any questions, please do use the Q&A function. We're here to help you. Myself and all my colleagues are here to answer all the questions that you have. So do feel free to interact with us. And use the chat function just to introduce yourself. I've seen people introducing themselves from really all over the world so far. So it's great to see you. And we really look forward to welcoming you to campus in September. Now, and before we kick off my first section, I'd like to just go through the schedule of the different parts of today's session. So as you can see there, we have the preparation and arrival section, and I'll be shortly going through those slides. Following that, we have visas and immigration. Then we have enrolment and registration, welcome and orientation, further support for students, and money matters. And then that will be when the live section on the stage ends, and you can go into one of our student sessions where you can chat to my colleagues from the Global Student Recruitment team, as well as our students, and answer any other questions that you have, or maybe even you just want to ask them, what's it like to be a student at Queen's? So I'm going to kick off the preparation and arrival section now. Before I start, there will be lots and lots of information in this presentation, and we will be sending out a copy of the PowerPoint. So please do not feel like you have to frantically make notes and note down all the links and all the information. We'll send it to you, and then you can go through it in your own time at your leisure, probably more than once. So next slide, please. So the first section I'd like to just talk about is what you need to bring. Now, you may think some of this is fairly kind of self-explanatory, but do use this as a checklist when you're preparing to depart and packing. Of course, you need your passport. It would be very difficult for you to travel without that. Driving license is there on the list. It's not essential that you have one. You may not have a driving license, but it is useful to have a second form of ID. So if you have one, it's a good idea to bring. You will need your CAS statement. Now, you may have that already, or you may be getting it shortly, but that's the document you use to apply for your visa. You will need your accommodation confirmation, and you will also need your academic documents. And I would advise anything that you use during your application, you should bring that with you. And another good point to note is that whilst you may have a lot of these documents electronically or soft copy, I would suggest you bring a printed hard copy if you can of all of them as well. You know, you never know when your battery might run out, or you may not be able to access documents electronically. It's a really good idea to have paper hard copies as well. I would suggest you bring some passport size photos with you. Of course, you can get them done in Belfast very easily, but it just makes the whole process slightly easier for you if you already have them readily available. And the next point, sterling, refers to bringing some cash with you. Now, we wouldn't advise to bring too much, and on the next slide, I believe there is some information about some limitations, but it is always a good idea to have some. The final point there is really not a mandatory thing, but if you wanted to bring face coverings, you are very welcome to. Throughout Belfast, Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK, people are now choosing. Some people choose to, and some people choose not to in most situations to wear a face mask, and it's completely up to you. So if we could move to the next slide, thank you. Again, I hope you don't find this too obvious, but what to pack, and I think you'll find the next slide interesting as well, what not to pack. Starting with what you should bring. Now, the first point there is very important. Warm clothes and an umbrella are useful. Belfast is in the UK, and anywhere in the UK, the weather can be quite changeable, even in the same day. It does rain sometimes, it could be warm, it could be a bit chillier. So it is good just to bring kind of appropriate clothing and an umbrella with you. The next point, useful gadgets. Now that would be your mobile phone, it would be your iPad, anything electronic. Please do remember to bring them with you. But also remember that we may use a different plug in the UK to what you're used to. So bring at least one adapter, possibly more than one, so you can charge everything up as well. Now, things that remind you of home is really just to help you kind of settle in, to make your new accommodation your own. Obviously, Belfast will be your new home for the next year, possibly 3 years, depending on your program. But it's nice to have a few things there that remind you of, you know, your family, your friends, and your home country. And the final point is quite important. It's any prescribed medication. So if you take any medication regularly that is prescribed, it would be a good idea to bring at least enough for a month or two until you can get registered with a doctor and get your prescriptions done within the UK. So do have a think about what you can and can't bring. The next slide, what not to pack, is really just a guideline. It does depend a little bit on what accommodation you have chosen. But the first point there, cutlery, so that would be knives, forks, spoons, etc. Very, very easily available to buy in Belfast. Most major supermarkets, lots of shops would sell that. And also you may find it problematic in your luggage going through airport security if you have a big pack of cutlery. There's also a link there on the second point, which is restricted entry products. So there are some things you are not allowed to bring into the UK. The most common probably that people try to bring in would be certain food products. So do have a look at that link. It's your responsibility to know what you can and can't bring. If you have any specific questions, please feel free to ask a member of our team. But you know, you should know what you can and can't bring. And if you try to bring something that you're not allowed, it may well be confiscated on arrival. Now, the third point there, blankets and duvets, the main reason we advise not packing those is basically because they take up so much space in your luggage. If you've taken university accommodation, then you can order a bedding pack. If you haven't done that already, please wait to the accommodation section and ask your question there of how you do it. But it does take up a lot of space, so I'd advise not. Notebooks and stationery, really, you can get that anywhere. Lots of shops have that readily available. So maybe just bring one with you, one notepad, one pen, etc. And you can get all the rest after you arrive. And not too many toiletries. Again, it will just really take up all of your luggage space. And most things you'll find readily available in shops, to order online with Amazon, etc. After you arrive. The final point there is probably the most important one on this slide. We would not advise you to bring large sums of cash. There is a legal requirement that you have to declare if you bring more than £10,000 in currency. That can be in one or multiple currencies combined. I would not suggest taking that kind of level of money with you, but do bring a bit of cash, you know, in case you need it. Also, if you have a bank card, please check with your bank to make sure that you're able to use it for transactions when you're abroad, and be aware of any charges that are associated there. Okay, next slide. Thank you. So how to get to Queen's. Queen's has 2 airports. It's super easy to get into the city, into your accommodation as soon as you arrive. We have Belfast International Airport and Belfast City Airport. The best way and the easiest way really to travel to your accommodation from either of those airports is by taxi. The international airport is around 40 minutes to the city centre, and the city airport is only about 15 minutes. So, you know, depending on your travel plans, the city airport is definitely more convenient. In terms of cost, you should allow approximately £35 to £45 if you're coming from the international airport, and it's around £15 from the city airport. Now, in terms of welcome services at the airport, we will be announcing that shortly. My colleague later in the presentation will be covering that as well, and she'll be able to tell you exactly what will be on offer at the airports from Queen's. There's another point at the bottom there that Dublin Airport is around 90 minutes from Belfast, but I would suggest this is really only applicable to students from North America. Please be aware there may be a requirement to have a transit visa if you're coming through Dublin, so check that in advance so you don't get caught out. Thank you. Now, the final part of my section is regarding COVID-19. We certainly hope and we see that we are kind of coming towards the tail end of the pandemic. Lockdown, etc., is no more. However, it is important just to cover a few points now. You'll be very pleased to hear that travellers coming into Northern Ireland do not need to complete the passenger locator form. You do not need to show proof of vaccination, and you do not need to take any pre-departure or post-arrival tests. If you do have any symptoms of COVID, you should take a lateral flow test, and these tests are available. You can order them online at the link here. For the latest advice as well, we recommend going on this website here for NI Direct. Please be aware that the rules and regulations between Northern Ireland and England may be slightly different, so please check the NI Direct pages rather than the gov.uk pages. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the final thing I wanted to say is that if you do have a positive test result for COVID, you're advised to stay at home or in your accommodation where you live and avoid contact with people for a period of 5 days after the day of the test or from when your symptoms began. So that is, advice that you get. And we would suggest that if that happens, you can use lots of various different apps and things online, perhaps friends, to help you order food. But let us know, and our accommodation team, I'm sure, would be happy to help should that happen to you. You do not need to test to end isolation. So you count 5 days from the day of your test or from the first symptoms. You can get a COVID vaccine at most chemists and at the GP. So if you haven't had one or if there's a booster available, then certainly please do ask about that or look into that after you arrive. And for any more information on vaccines and boosters, there's a very, very useful link there on NI Direct, which you can either look at if it's in the chat now, or you can have a look at the presentation when it's sent to you afterwards. So that's it for my first section. I hope you enjoy the rest of the session. And I'm now going to hand over to one of my colleagues to talk about our accommodation options.
Well, hi there, everyone. Nice to meet everyone here. My name's Ewan. I'm part of the allocations team here at Queen's Accommodation. And I'm just going to be taking about the next 10 minutes or so just to talk you through a bit about the application process, what to do next, because the next stage of that is coming up shortly, and then a little bit more about life at Queen's as well. If you have any questions, my colleague, one of the accommodation managers, is in the Q&A section, so pop any questions you got in there. We'd be happy to answer them. And I'll also keep an eye on the comments over here, and if I see anything that I can answer as we go, I'll make sure I include that too. If we could have the next slide, please. So we offer an all-inclusive package here at Queen's. So one of the things we ask quite a lot is what can I expect to be included in my room? So you have a wired internet connection, and you also have Wi-Fi as well. All of your utilities are included in your rent. So things like heating, hot water, electricity are all included too. Really, the only thing you need to pay for while you're living with us is your laundry bill, and there's laundry rooms on site. There are weekly communal cleans in Elms BT9 included during the core teaching periods, and the cleaning of the public areas is done in Elms BT1 and BT2. You also get some contents insurance as well, provided by Ensley Insurance. So details of what's actually covered in there can be found on the Ensley website, but it covers quite a lot of your electrical items, anything of value as well, up to a certain amount. It's just nice to have that level of security, that you can think about with your belongings. You also get free use of the gym in BT1. Now, everyone within Queen's Accommodation, regardless of what site you're on, can use BT1's gym. And you also get an off-peak membership at Queen's Sport. And more details about what's included in the off-peak membership could be included, and it'll be included on their website as well. And we also give a TV license for any TVs that are in the communal areas. So you'll find in BT1, 2, and 9 that each of your lounges will have a TV in it. And so the TV license covers that. If you want to watch live TV in your room, you're more than welcome to do so, but you just need to purchase an additional license for that. What I'm going to do just before we continue, I'm just going to pop a link to the Queen's Accommodation website in the chat, and if that's possible to go on the screen as well, that'd be amazing. If you're wondering about the different sites we've got, I've not included them in this presentation because the website actually goes into much more detail than I could do in 10 minutes. So if you go to that website just down there, it will show you photos and maps showing you exactly what our accommodation looks like, and when you get your allocation through, you better look up where you're going to be staying, and you'll see some great photos, and it'll give you a good idea of what's included. If we go to the next slide, please. So just thought I'd just very briefly touch on the allocation policy. Now, the deadline for applications was actually the 30th of June, and I'm sure most of you hit that, which is fantastic. So if you're an international student and you applied by the 30th of June, you're actually guaranteed accommodation with us if you get into Queen's. So here's just some of the criteria that we use when it comes to the guarantee itself. Now, in terms of the actual guarantee, we don't necessarily guarantee your first choice, but as part of the application process, we did actually ask you to pick a number of different options, and we do use that when doing our allocations to try and put you with people that you've asked to be with. There's also just some other information there about the kind of student you need to be in order to avail of the guarantee. If we go to the next slide, please. Again, there's a couple of different options on there as well. So for nursing students, we do have a slightly different policy, and again, that probably won't relate to most of you. But if you are a nursing student, then we do have some short-term options that are available to you. If that is you, what I'd suggest doing, if you could contact us using the email address I'm about to pop in the chat. That's the main accommodation email address there. And then for students with a disability, again, you would have had to have listed that as part of your application. But again, we deal with that on a case-by-case basis, and we'll be in touch with you with regard to that shortly. Next slide, please. Right, here's some key considerations for things coming up. So the allocation process has begun. The majority of our allocations are going to be done after the 18th of August, as that's the results day here. But what we are encouraging students to do is to get into the routine of checking your email every single day. So the one to check would be the email address that you use to create your application, and be the one that we have logged on the system as well. So throughout your university career, it's always a good idea to keep an eye on that anyway. You might get things through from lecturers or the university in general, but especially now, we'd be encouraging people to check that every day. So once you've been offered a room, you have 48 hours to accept your accommodation offer. It'll talk you through that in email, how you can accept your offer, and it basically will include, clicking accept and submitting that, and then also paying your £300 deposit. If you don't accept your offer within 48 hours, or if you decline it, you will lose your guarantee, and the offer of accommodation will be withdrawn, and you would need to reapply. Some people think that if they decline the first offer, they then get one automatically again. That's not the case. That's a trap that some people have fallen into. So we're trying to make it as clear as possible that if for some reason the accommodation isn't suitable, you can contact us. But generally speaking, the offer you get is the offer that will be submitted to you. If there are specific reasons why it's not suitable for you, please contact us using that email address that I mentioned. And as I mentioned earlier, we do try to allocate a room type based on your preferences on the application form. And if it's not possible to offer your first choice, then we'll basically work our way through your preferences until we can offer one that meets what you've listed. You do not have to accept this offer, but please note that if you don't accept that first offer, a subsequent one will not be made. Next slide, please. So just a little touch again on the closing dates. The closing date was the 30th of June. Now, if you are here today and you've not applied for accommodation, as I can see a few people have kind of listed in the chat, you can still actually apply for accommodation, but the guarantee doesn't apply. And so what happens then basically is we go through all of the people that have been guaranteed accommodation, and once we've done that, we will then work through applicants that have applied after the 30th of June on a first come first served basis. Now, that does mean that if you haven't applied after the 30th of June and your accommodation isn't guaranteed, there would be a likelihood that you may not be offered something. If you would like some guidance, on kind of, what else you can do, what other steps you can do in terms of looking for accommodation around the city, we would again be helpful to try and signpost you there. We've got lists of some local providers that you could try, and some local estate agents too. So please do still get in touch with us, but we just want to make that clear on the presentation today. Next slide, please. So I just thought I'd touch a little bit as well on the residential fees team. So the residential fees team look after all of the finance here at Queen's Accommodation. So generally speaking, you will have picked a schedule with which to pay your accommodation. I'm going to be looking at that in just a second. They handle all of that side of things, and they can look after all of your accommodation-based financial queries. So the best place to contact them is here, the residential fees team. You can actually speak to them in person as well. If you come into reception during the day, they tend to work between about 9 and 5, Monday to Friday. You can speak to people in person if you need to, if it's urgent to. The website, again, offers some great information when it comes to fees and finance. So that accommodation / fees and finance address just down at the bottom of the screen there, that's the best place to go if you want everything broken down in terms of the accommodation finance side of things. And just a little note as well, whilst we are encouraging people to bring cash just to use around the city. Queen's accommodation is actually going cashless as of September. And so what we would say is, you need to make sure you have some form of being able to pay via credit or debit card when it comes to your accommodation fees. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned earlier on, when you were going through the application process, you will have selected one of these different options to pay. And depending on the student type, depends on which one of these is open to you. So for GB and Northern Irish students, we do offer certain payment plans, such as full payment and direct debits. For students that are outside of the UK, so that's Republic of Ireland and international, you have either full payment, 2 instalments, which would be 50% upfront and 50% in February, or then the other one option is the 1 instalment and 3 direct debits plan. Now, if you have something such as a sponsorship or a scholarship, the best course of action is to contact the residential fees team, and you can then discuss with them a payment plan based on your sponsorship or scholarship. And Louise has just popped the email address there at the bottom of the screen again. Next slide, please. Fantastic. So the Residential Life team is a team that I wanted to introduce to you. So the Residential Life team look after a number of aspects during your stay. And as international students, they're really here to support you guys. So they're made up of 2 sub-teams, the RLCs and the RAs. So the RLCs, this lovely lot at the top, the 6 here. So Cecilia at the top right is the manager, and then the other guys are the Residential Life coordinators. So the RLCs look after 2 areas of student life here. So they have wellbeing support. So especially if you're coming from far away, you may find here at university you feel lonely occasionally or homesick or are struggling to adjust to university life. Now that's completely normal. That happened to me. That happens to lots of students that go to university, but they are here to help you for that. So if you want to speak to one of them, you can contact them either by going to your reception point at the accommodation, or if you're in BT9, you can head down to the treehouse and their reception is down there too. They also do some social support as well. So as well as providing that welfare support there, they do also look at different things they can do to help people settle into life here and have a good time. So they do organise a regular social activities and trips program to help you make new friends, to help you to get to know Northern Ireland a bit better, and to maximise your experience here. I'll be showing you some photos in a minute of some of the different trips and events we've done. And then we also have the RAs. The RAs are these lovely guys down here in blue, and they are students just like you that have opted to live in Queen's accommodation and work as effectively as members of staff. So they live in with you guys and are there, if you need some extra support, if you need a friendly face. They run a nightly drop-in service at the Treehouse and at your coffee bars as well. And they also run the coffee bars in BT1 and BT2. If you want to talk to any of the Residential Life team, as I mentioned, either contact the Treehouse reception, or if you're in BT1 or 2, if you head down to your reception there too. Next slide, please. And so, as I mentioned, they do a great number of trips and tours and programs around the country and based here at Queen's as well. So here are some of the different trips they've done. They've done the Giant's Causeway, the Ulster Folk and Transport Museum, the Explorers Aquarium, and again they do things here on site too. So we've done pizza nights, games nights, donuts nights. It's a really good way, especially if you come here and you don't know anyone, which quite a lot of students that aren't from Northern Ireland will be in the same position as you. It's a really good way to make new friends, get to know the country a bit, because Northern Ireland's a really, really cool place to live, and also have a bit of fun too. Next slide, please. So reception are probably the team you're going to see the most of. They're like me, they're the lovely guys in red. So receptions are open, the opening hours do vary slightly, but there's always a member of staff on site 24 hours a day. So the BT9 reception is open 24 hours a day. And then BT1 and 2, whilst the receptions close at 8, they have security staff on site 24 hours a day. So the reception team is your first port of call when it comes to general inquiries, and they can link you with any other teams on site as well. So the reception teams you would look to for things like post, maintenance requests, things like general queries, directions, that kind of thing. And the best way to contact them is either just to go and see them in person, or you can also contact them by phone or by email here as well. So all of the teams will have access to the accommodation@qub.ac email address. But if it's something related specifically to the BT1 or 2 sites, we would encourage you to email them directly. And again, the phones relate to each site. Next slide, please. And just I thought I'd touch again a little bit on those on that key info. So obviously the 30th of June was the date by which you had to have applied, and applications and allocations after that date are made subject to availability, and you're not guaranteed if you've applied late. But just remember, to check that email regularly. Make sure you keep an eye out for any emails from Queen's Accommodation, and if you get that offer through, which we really hope you do, then it will be 48 hours you've got to respond to that. If you need any support at all, again, the best place to do would be to either email us or call us. We'd be more more than happy to chat to you and talk you through the process. And the last slide, please. Well, thank you very much, guys. It's been lovely to meet everyone. What I will do, my colleague and I will stick around in the Q&A section. So if you've got any questions at all, pop a question down in there and we'll do our best to answer. But yeah, really great to meet you guys, and we look forward to seeing you in September.
Thank you very much, Ian. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name's Helen, and I'm Senior Immigration Advisor in the International Student Support Team at Queen's. My presentation today will explain the main steps that you need to follow when applying for a student visa from outside of the UK. Next slide, please. Firstly, I would like to explain to you who International Student Support are and how they can help you. The International Student Support Department include a dedicated team of immigration advisors that provide professional advice in relation to UK study visas and immigration matters, including applying for your student visa to come to the UK. We can also assist you with any visa or immigration queries you have throughout your studies. Our dedicated visa guidance pages can be found at the address on the screen now. And you can also email us directly with any questions you may have at immigration@qb.ac.uk. Next slide, please. So before I explain to you how to apply for a visa, I just wanted to remind you the first thing you need to do is to accept your offer for Queen's. If you're an undergraduate student with a conditional offer, you will need to provide a final official transcript and any other documents required to upgrade your status from conditional to unconditional. If you hold an unconditional offer already, you will need to provide your passport, a UKVI assessment form, and proof of payment if you've been asked for this to progress further. If you've applied through UCAS, you will need to visit the qub.ac.uk AS12 page and accept your offer. Next slide, please. Postgraduate students that hold a conditional offer will also need their final official transcripts and required documents to upgrade their status from conditional to unconditional. Unconditional offer holders should pay the deposit, or if sponsored, provide a letter from their official sponsor. In addition to this, you must provide your passport and CAS assessment form to progress further. Next slide, please. So now I want to describe to you the stages of the student visa application journey that you need to follow to be granted a visa to study at Queen's. Firstly, as I explained, you will need to accept your unconditional offer. This is very important, as if you do not accept your offer, you cannot progress through the student visa application journey. Once you accept and provide all the required evidence, you will receive a confirmation of acceptance for study statement, also known as a CAS statement. You will need this CAS to apply for your visa. Next slide, please. So what is a CAS? The CAS statement is an electronic document that will include your CAS number and important information you need to complete your visa application form. This includes information such as your course start and end date. When you apply for your visa, you must also include the CAS number, which is displayed in the CAS document. You will receive the CAS by email from the International Admissions Department from email address cas.info. You will not receive your CAS until you've met all the conditions of your course and accepted your own conditional offer. If you notice any errors in your CAS statement, you should notify International Admissions immediately. You can do this by emailing the cas.info address. If you require an academic technology approval certificate, this information will be included in both your offer letter and your CAS statement. Next slide, please. So what are the next steps of the student visa application journey? You've accepted your unconditional offer. You've received your CAS. So after that, you need to find out about the application process in your country. You can do this by going to the gov.uk Find an Application Centre web pages. This is where you'll find up-to-date information about your local visa application centre. Once you know this, you can then start to prepare your visa documents. Next slide, please. So how do you know what documents you need to prepare to apply for a visa? On screen now is a list of documents, a checklist, which will help you ensure you provide all the correct supporting documents along with your visa application. The first thing you need is that CAS statement that the university have emailed to you. You also need a valid passport and the evidence of the qualifications listed on your CAS, and this is most likely to be both English and academic qualifications. If any of your documents are not in English, you'll also need an official translation and an ATAS certificate if it states on your CAS that you need one. You'll need a TB test if required. And if you're under 18, you'll need parental consent, a parental consent letter and a birth certificate. And the other important documents you need is evidence you meet the financial requirements. And I'm going to cover those in more detail in the next slide. Next slide, please. So now I'd like to explain to you, now I'd like to give you a little bit of advice in regard to the financial evidence you will require to provide and the funds you will need to show to demonstrate you have sufficient finances to support yourself while living in the UK. So the first amount of money you need will be living costs. This is also known as maintenance expenses. If you're studying in the UK for 9 months or more, you will need to provide evidence that you have £9,207 living costs available to you. As well as this, you need to show evidence that you've paid all your tuition fees or you hold your tuition fees. If you have already paid some tuition fees, this information should be included in your CAS statement under the tuition fees paid to date section. Next slide, please. So what documents must you provide with your visa application to show that you have the funds in place to study in the UK? The documents you must provide will depend on your own individual circumstances. So some students will provide a personal bank statement or a bank letter. This document must provide evidence that funds have been held in the student's account or their parents' personal account for 28 consecutive days up to the date of the closing balance. These funds must remain in this account until your visa is granted. Other students may provide a letter from a regulated financial institution confirming their receipt of an education loan, and others may provide evidence that they're receiving funds from an official financial sponsor. This is not an exhaustive list, so please do check out the link at the bottom of the screen now. This will provide a comprehensive list of acceptable funds and the document formats that the UKVI require when you are applying for a visa. Next slide, please. So at this stage of the student visa application journey, you will have accepted your unconditional offer, received your CAS, booked and taken a TB test if that applies to you, checked the visa application process in your home country of residence and the time it takes to receive a visa and prepared all the necessary documents. You're now ready to apply for a student visa online at .gov.uk student visa apply and to submit the required documents to attend a visa appointment where you will provide your biometric information at a visa application centre that is convenient for you. And just to point out on the screen now, that is the link to the visa application centre. Next slide, please. So how much does it cost? A standard student visa application is £363, and this is for a visa processing time of 3 to 4 weeks from the date of your application at the Visa Application Centre. If you would like a faster decision, in some countries, you can pay an additional fee to receive your visa quickly. You can find out if this is possible in your country by visiting .gov.uk, find a visa application centre webpage and looking for those priority services. However, I just want to give you a note of caution in regard to quicker visa processing times. In most countries, the faster priority service is currently unavailable at the moment. So please do ensure to allow plenty of time to apply for your visa. And we advise that you apply for your visa at least 6 weeks before you plan to travel to the UK. You will also need to pay an immigration health surcharge fee as well as the visa application fee, and this costs £470 per year of your visa. Next slide, please. So now that you've applied online, paid for your visa and the immigration health surcharge, and submitted all the required documents, and have attended an in-person biometric appointment at the Visa Application Centre, what happens next? If your application is successful, your passport will be returned to you with a 90-day entry clearance vignette inside. A vignette is a sticker in your passport that is a visa that permits you to travel to the UK. You must travel within the validity date stated on the 90-day vignette. When you travel to the UK, you will collect a biometric residence permit, a BRP card. This is your full visa and will last for the duration of your course. Next slide, please. The biometric residence permit, also known as the BRP card, can be collected from Queen's or the local post office in Belfast. If you wish to collect your BRP card from Queen's, please choose the alternative location option when completing the online visa application form and enter the code 2HE572. This code is on the screen now. Queen's will contact you when your BRP card is available and ready for collection, and you will be able to make an appointment to collect it. If your visa states you're required to register with the police, it will be possible for you to do this on campus. The Police Service of Northern Ireland will be on campus in October and November this year, and you can register with them during this time if you've received your BRP card. Next slide, please. On screen now is just some useful information, including a step-by-step guide to applying for a student visa and detailed supporting document information. Thanks so much for listening. If you have any questions, please do post them in the comments or the Q&A. And also you can email immigration@qub.ac.uk. Thank you so much again, and I'm now going to pass you on to my colleagues in Registry Services.
Hello everyone, my name is Rachel Reid and I'm the Student Registry Supervisor at Queen's. My main responsibility is leading the enrolment and registration team, so we'll be hopefully some of the first people that you meet when you arrive. Next slide please. So the first thing that you'll get from the enrolment registration process is your welcome email. So the welcome email will outline exactly the process of becoming a full student of the university and what you need to do to complete the various steps. So if you've accepted your offer, you should receive your welcome email in the week beginning the 29th of August. If you haven't accepted your offer yet, please do that now as soon as you can so that we know that you're coming to join us. This email that you receive will contain full instructions on each step of registration, and it will also contain your student number and your password to log into all of the Queen's websites that you need. The main one you'll need for registration itself is called the Queen's University Student Information System, or QSIS for short. The ENR process has three main parts. The first part starts with online, and that's the confirmation of your personal details, the enrolment of modules, your financial steps, and the immigration steps that Helen has just outlined for us previously. When you arrive, you then complete the second two parts, which is the on-site matriculation. This is showing us your identification and qualification documents in person, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. And the final step is collection of your student card, which makes you an official student of the university. Next slide, please. So the first step all takes place online. So if you receive your welcome email before you need to travel, that's great. You can start registering straight away from home. So you'll register online first by the QSIS registration portal. This is a self-servicing portal, and it's very, very easy to follow. So each step of the process contains links to online videos, which are screen shares, and they'll talk you through the process while someone shows you how to do that on the screen. And it also has information boxes throughout, which gives you a little bit of further information for each step. So it's a very easy process, but if you do have any difficulties, we're always here to help as well, and we'll give you our contact details in the next few slides. Next slide, please. So part one of the online registration is your personal information. So the details that the system is pre-populated with are the details that you use when you submitted your application. Now, we know that sometimes mistakes can be made, or those details can change between the time that you first applied and the time that you're registering. So we do ask that you check all of that information is up to date. That'll be things like your name, your addresses, your contact information, and your doctor or GP's information for emergency contacts. And if those details aren't correct, that's no problem. You can contact us at the student helpline. The email address is on the slide at the moment, and you can contact us to get those changed and updated to the correct information. As Helen said, you'll also need to upload certain documents, so make sure that you do have those to hand during registration. Those will be things like your passport biographical page, your entry clearance vignette, your visa decision letter, or any other immigration documents that you have to hand. You'll need to upload those to have them verified before you can complete the online steps of registration. Once those steps are completed, you'll move on to modules and finance. So your school might contact you in advance of registration. They might send you an email asking you to indicate your modules or your class preferences before you start registering. And if they've done that, then your module choices should appear automatically. Those will appear in the enrolment section. If not, if they haven't asked you, then you have free rein to choose your own modules. And it works a little bit like a shopping cart where you can choose which modules and times suit you best. And then once you've completed that, you'll move on to the finance step. So on this page, you'll see a tuition account summary. You'll also be able to input who or if yourself is paying for your fees yourself, or if you have a sponsor. And if the balance is different to what you're expecting, then you can contact our student finance team to get that resolved. Next slide, please. Once you've completed the majority of the online steps, you will be asked to book an appointment for matriculation. And this is a verification of some of the documents that you may have submitted during the application process. So we need to verify that your name is correct, and this is done by checking your passport details. We check which previous institution that you've attended, so the name of your college or school and the dates that you attended that, and which qualifications you obtained there. So in the final step of the online registration portal, you'll be given an option to book an appointment, and you'll come and present those documents in person. Next slide, please. So whenever you arrive, and you'll hopefully arrive during the main part of enrolment and registration, you'll come and complete your matriculation at the Computer Science building if you are arriving before the 16th of September. If you arrive after the 16th of September, we hope to welcome you to our new student centre. We hope to be open at that point, so that would be great to see you there as well. And the things you'll need to make sure you bring with you then. So the immigration documentation, which Helen outlined, including your passport, you will have uploaded those, but you also need to bring those in person. You'll need to bring original documentary evidence of your entrance qualifications, except if these were previously an award issued by Queen's or provided directly by UCAS. So if you are a previous student of Queen's, if you perhaps attended an undergraduate course and now you're returning to a postgraduate course, we already have that information on the system. If not, you will need to bring those original documents. We cannot accept scans or photographs, unfortunately. They do have to be the physical copies, so please ensure you do bring them. And if those qualifications are in a language other than English, please ensure you bring a certified English translation as well. Next slide, please. So the final part of the matriculation process, after we've done those steps of checking your qualifications and your identification, is the collection of your student card. This takes place in the same building. So once you complete the matriculation, you'll move into another room, you'll have your photograph taken, and we'll print your student card for you. And that is the very final step of becoming a student. So at that point, it is official. You'll use your student card to access buildings such as the library, the gym, and any laboratories or other classrooms that you need specific access to. So we do ask that you make sure you try and complete that before your classes start. We do understand sometimes there are delays or reasons why you can't, but if possible, we do ask you complete that before the 16th of September. Further information and a final deadline will be included in the welcome email that you receive. Next slide, please. So there's some details on the screen there at the moment about how you can contact us if you need some further support, if you find any difficulties going through the registration process, or you aren't sure about documentation, or if you have any questions at all about registering at Queen's. Our student helpline is available via email, via phone call, and there's a set of FAQs on the website as well. So if there's anything that you aren't clear about, just drop us an email or give us a ring and we'll be very happy to help you. So thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to meeting you all in September.
Hi there, good morning. Warm welcome from Belfast. My name is Victoria and I work in the Student Experience team. I'm here this morning to talk to you about our programme of activities that will help you get settled into university life as part of your welcome to Queen's and orientation at Belfast. My colleague Kate will be answering any questions in the chat box, so please feel free to ask her any questions there during this session. Next slide, please. So, My Queen's is your webpage. The address is on the slide at the moment and it will contain information on your pre-arrival to Queen's and our pre-semester welcome. It's a home for new and returning students, which provides information on studying and life at Queen's. I'd encourage you to note down the web address as there's a wealth of information on our pages and we will be reviewing and updating our information in the coming weeks in advance of your arrival, from a guide to moving to Belfast to when you arrive at the airport. Our webpage helps you to get ready for campus. There's information about studying and life at Queen's, and it provides information on support and events. We'll post our pre-semester programme on this page when it's been finalised, and we aim to do this before the end of August. One of our students has written a blog on a guide to moving to Belfast, which covers your phone plan, opening a bank account, and how to get your groceries. We'll be providing an airport welcome on set days in September, and we're going to provide these dates on our web pages by mid-August. One of our student ambassadors will ensure that you have the necessary information at the airport to get to your accommodation. For those of you who arrive in a day where we do not have a welcome, please review our My Queen's web pages to ensure you know how to get from the airport to your accommodation. We also have a pocket guide, which includes key information prior to your arrival at the university, and it's live on our webpage at the moment. It is information from what to pack, local supermarkets, and advice on banking and healthcare, and much more. Next slide, please. We have two elements to your welcome and orientation programme. The first is our pre-semester engagement programme, which will be placed on our My Queen's web pages, as I've already mentioned, and your school induction and welcome. We'd encourage you to keep reviewing our My Queen's pages for the pre-semester engagement programme, as this is where we will update our programme of events, and it's also where you can sign up to the many exciting events that we have planned for your arrival. I will talk about some of our events on my next slide. In terms of your school induction and welcome, please keep a lookout for information for your incoming school and try and attend as many of these events as possible. Next slide, please. As I said, we have a range of pre-semester activities for you to connect with your fellow students and learn about life in Queen's and Belfast. We've arranged for some events starting on the week commencing the 5th of September onwards. We will have coffee mornings with our international ambassadors who are from across the globe, and it's where you can meet fellow international students. We'll have campus tours to ensure that you get to know your way around our wonderful campus and how to get to your faculty and school. Our community engagement team at Queen's are keen to support all of our students living in the local community, and they'll be delivering an education programme to students at the beginning of the year. Our student disability and wellbeing team will help you find out about Belfast through tours of our green spaces, which we have in abundance close to campus, and a city tour. They'll also be running a flagship event to demonstrate the range of support services that they provide, and the week will end with a ceilidh, which, as you saw earlier today, is a traditional Irish music and dance. There will also be a bus tour of Belfast where we will show you some of our wonderful sites, some of which you've already seen on our video. Our programme of events will be updated before the end of August on our My Queen's web pages, so please sign up whenever that becomes available so that you're registered for those events. As I already said, we have events starting from the 5th of September, but we're going to run them every week until October. So if you're early or late arrival, there'll be lots of activities for you to participate in and to allow you to connect with your fellow students and get to know Belfast and our campus. Next slide, please. We are thrilled to tell you that our new student centre, One Elmwood, will be open in the coming weeks. And as I've already said, it is in the finishing stages. There's multiple hangout spaces and collaboration spaces and a handy Students' Union shop. Our student clubs and societies are all based in One Elmwood, so you'll be able to get in contact with them while you're there. We also have our student information point, which is a focal point for all of our students where we can support any queries. And our student support services are also going to be based in One Elmwood. That includes our student advice, student disability and wellbeing, and more. Thank you for listening, and please refer any questions to Kate in the chat. We look forward to meeting you in September to Queen's. Now I'll hand over to my colleague Will, who will tell you all about the Student Disability and Wellbeing Service.
Hello and welcome in advance as you prepare to come to Queen's University Belfast. As Kate said, my name is Will Plunkett and I am the Disability and Wellbeing Manager here at Queen's University. In preparation for your travel, I wanted to tell you further about some support available to QUB students when you arrive, and also some steps you can take to look after yourself when studying here at Queen's. And next slide, please. Firstly, it is vital that you have access to healthcare during your time in Belfast. It is highly important to register with GP or doctor when you arrive so you can access medical care. As you'll see on the slide, it can take up to 6 weeks to get your NHS medical card, so it is best to register as soon as possible on arrival. And we have a list of the documentation you will require to register. You'll need to complete a registration form. You'll have your passport and your BRP or an evidence letter from the UK Home Office. And that needs to show that there's at least 3 months left on your visa, and also proof of your Northern Ireland address. And the university can provide a letter to support that. The University Health Centre, noted at the top of the slide, is located on campus, and they have a dedicated team of doctors and nurses that are based on campus but deliver medical care independently from the university. They also offer an online service to book or cancel appointments and order repeat prescriptions. And you can find more about healthcare available through the link at the bottom of the slide. And my colleague Denise will also include that in the chat for you. Next slide, please. The Student Wellbeing Service offer a lot of great support for our students, and we are there to support our students with their wellbeing. And we really offer that service that is accessible throughout the year and is free to all our students within the university. Firstly, we offer a drop-in service, and this is somewhere where you can speak with one of our wellbeing staff in a very non-judgmental, safe environment about any concerns or issues that you may have. This will be an opportunity for us to listen to you and to talk through suitable support options that may be available to you. We would also encourage you to contact us online, and you'll see the link to our form there in the bottom left-hand corner of the slide. And that's an opportunity for you to share any concerns you have, and then we'll link in with you to agree some supports that we can put in place for you. There's also a link to our report and support system. Within Queen's, we're very keen to support all our students to develop and maintain safe and healthy relationships. This includes promoting a zero tolerance policy for sexual misconduct, bullying, harassment, or any form of hate crime. You can contact us through our report and support system if you have been affected by any of these issues. And it offers the support to speak with a safe and healthy relationships advocate or report anonymously. We would also love for you to connect with us on our social media, and we have all the links to our different social media sites there. We'd encourage you to like and follow us for upcoming events and also updates on all the supports that are available. We would also encourage you to have a look at our events throughout the year and attend those you're interested in, or take the opportunity to try something new. We offer wellbeing weekday events throughout the year, which we offer to support our students to positively promote and maintain their wellbeing. We run a variety of events every semester, so there's truly something for everyone. And next slide, please. There are also lots of other great supports within the university. And I've listed the range of supports and links on the slide there. Really, that's an opportunity for you to look at those, take some time to look over and see what support will be available. The first one there, the International Student Support, offers visa and immigration advice and guidance for our students traveling over. There's also Disability Service, which offers supports for students with a diagnosed disability, mental health condition, or long-term condition, and they can register with Disability Services for support. The Learning Development Service offers help with academic skills and learning resources. And the Career Employability and Skills offers help with future-ready skills to prepare you for employment and future careers. Lots of really great resources and support, so please look into them and feel free to link and use them throughout your studies. Next slide, please. Some other supports. The graduate school is available for our postgrad students, and they offer a range of support, development programs and training. It also offers a really good opportunity to link with other PG students for peer support. And finally, the Advice Students Union offers impartial advice and guidance on a range of issues, including finances, academic issues, and housing. And again, all the links are on screen. Next slide, please. Our mobile app, lots of great support again on the app. The app offers a range of information, including our computer availability in the libraries, and that can be really helpful around times when the library may be more busy. You can see when you might want to go and use the library when there's computers free to study. I know a lot of our students use that app regularly and find it really useful. There's also a campus map, which helps you to orientate around the campus. And that can be really useful in the first couple of weeks as you find your way to different lecturators and support on campus. There will also be guides available around the campus and lots of friendly staff and students. If you can't find your way, please feel free to ask anybody. It also includes your timetable and other support around library services and your smart card. So as you can see, to download it, just search Queen's University Belfast in Google Play Store or the Apple Store. And then you can use your student number and password to log in, and you'll find all that great support there. And the next slide, please. And finally, for our last slide with me, I want to set a challenge, our 1845 Queen's Challenge. We've called this 1845 as Queen's was founded in 1845, and this is setting out 18 activities, 18 challenges for you to complete in the 45 days before you come to campus. These are activities to help you get ready for life on campus and find out more about Queen's and Belfast. So I would encourage you to look those up and start preparing for your arrival. During your studies, please remember that there is always support available either through the Student Disability and Wellbeing team or some of the other supports I've listed on previous slides. And if you're not sure where to go for help or support, please come and see us at our drop-in. We'd be happy to direct you to the appropriate support for you. We know that maintaining positive well-being is proven to help us succeed in everyday life, and we're really delighted to help our students to protect and maintain their well-being. So please get in contact if we can help you at any point during your studies. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to connecting with you when you arrive.
Hi everyone, my name's Stephen Grant. I work in the Student Finance Office here at Queen's, and we are responsible for the financial enrolment of students and the assessment and collection of tuition fees and related charges. I just have a few slides to go through on the payment of fees, which hopefully you'll find useful. So first slide, please. You'll pay your fees during the enrollment and registration process. You'll be taken through the screens in the E&R portal. And essentially you have two options. You can pay in full using a debit or credit card, or using Flywire, which is our preferred payment partner. The only difference between the two methods really is if you pay by debit or credit card, the payment is reflected on your account immediately, and you can complete registration at that point. If you pay by Flywire, you just need to be aware that it takes a number of days for the payment to reach us. And then at busy periods, it can take another couple of days for us to post the payment onto your account. So you just need to give it a number of days before you come back into the registration portal to complete your financial registration. But there's plenty of time to do that. So if you go in as soon as you receive your email about registering, then you'll have plenty of time to do it. Then if you wish to pay your fees in installments, we use direct debit process to do this, and it's a very safe and secure method used by millions of people here in the UK, and other countries use a similar process. It's whereby you provide us with your bank details, and we collect the money from your bank account. So you will need a UK current account. There are different types of bank accounts. So the type of bank account you need will be a current account to be able to use the direct debit process. Savings accounts and other types of accounts don't work. So make sure when you're setting up your bank account that it's a current account. To be eligible to pay in installments, you do have to pay 25% at registration when you're coming through the E&R portal. And again, you can use a debit or credit card or Flywire to pay that, just as if you were paying your fees in full. But you pay 25%, and then we collect the remaining installments on the dates that are shown on screen there. Next slide, please. And this slide just points out that sometimes students think that they need their bank account set up when they're coming through the registration portal, but all you need to do is make sure you've paid your 25% when you register, and then you've got until about mid-October to set up your bank account. And once you have your bank account set up, there's a link there on screen, and it'll also be in the enrollment and registration portal as well, where you need to go to a secure online form where you can provide us with your bank details once you have them. And one other point to note is for students who are lucky enough to be getting their fees paid for them by an external sponsor, by government or companies or whoever, there is a separate email address that you can use, which we can maybe get put into the comments section. It's sponsors@qub.ac.uk. That's SPONSORS. If a sponsor is paying your fees, then we actually invoice the sponsor. So you don't use the method the methods that I've just been describing. But if you email that email address, we can provide you with the details to get your fees paid, or for us to be able to invoice your sponsor. And yeah, this slide then is about opening your bank account when you get to Belfast or Northern Ireland. There are multiple banks around the university and in the city that you can use. You do need, there's an address there at the bottom of the slide to request a confirmation letter from ourselves. You do need to bring this letter to your bank for them to open a bank account with you. It shows your address and confirms you're a registered student with the university. And there's also some other information noted on the slide there that you will need to take with you when you're opening your bank account. And while you do have some time to open your bank account, if you are looking to pay your fees in installments, we would recommend that you get your bank account set up as soon as possible, so that if there's any delays or any problems, there's time to deal with them. Okay, next slide, please. This is just a slide to emphasize to you that when you first arrive in Belfast, for the first couple of weeks before you get a bank account set up, you will need to have access to your money. And probably the easiest way to do that is to bring your own credit or debit card from your own country. And there are some other options to consider as well, which are noted on screen there. And the link at the bottom of the slide gives you further information on that. People are probably are possibly aware of things like Apple Pay and Google Pay, which can be obviously installed on your mobile phone and used in shops to make payments. The Monzo and Revolut option, you may be able to start the application process for them from your home country, particularly if you've got your address in Belfast or Northern Ireland confirmed before you depart. You may be able to use that to apply for those accounts. And the benefit of those accounts also is that you can use those to pay for your tuition fees as well, as they will be considered a UK current account. So there's a range of options there, and it's up to yourselves to choose whichever you want. But yes, if you have any options on paying or any questions on paying by installments, then there's the direct debits email address for you to contact us on. And that's all from me. So thanks for listening.